And we have basically this battle going on in every division that we have in the union. And one of the things that I would say to the CBTU family is that the dignity that comes with real work ought to be given to everyone. You know, these are not people that, low-wage workers are not people that don't put the effort in, that don't work hard. They work harder many times more than the average worker, and they get little compensation for it. You know, a speech that Dr. King gave to 1199 6 weeks before he was assassinated talked about, and one of the subjects he talked about was menial labor. And he said it is not the type of work that you do that makes a job menial, it's the compensation that you get for the work you do. And so there should always be dignity in the work that people perform. That is how you take care of yourself and your family. And you ought not have to work hard every day and not have the dignity that comes with it because you don't have the ability to take care of your family. But it is outrageous. It's outrageous to know that the Walton family is in the top 10 every year of the richest people in the United States, and their workers can't make a living wage. It's just outrageous. And let's just break that chain. Let's stop supporting these people that don't support their own workers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, George. So now we're going to hear from Hector Sanchez, the Executive Director of LACLA.
There is something that is wrong with the way globalization is working right now. And globalization should be about workers. Globalization should be about middle class. Globalization, we should globalize pensions. We should globalize everything that is the central element of the labor movement instead of fighting the opposite way that seems that we're pushing workers to the bottom instead of pushing workers to achieving a real middle class. And that's the kind of conversation we're having nowadays. Now, when it comes to the issue of immigration, brothers and sisters, we need to take a step back as a nation. It's an embarrassment as a nation, the way we have discussed the issue of immigration. We have discussed the issue of immigration attacking workers instead of recognizing that as a nation, we are addicted to cheap, disposable labor that we can use anytime we want and we can throw them away anytime we want. And that's an embarrassment as a nation. 11 million undocumented workers in the most powerful nation in the world is not a mistake. It's public policy. And we need to recognize who benefits from having these vulnerable workers. Corporations. But we need to make sure that we defend the central elements of unionization. There is no doubt that unionization is the only element that is going to get us to have or push against all those attacks on workers, all those attacks on immigrants. Unionization plays a central role, and unfortunately, we've been under attack for the last 30 years, and right now we are at some of the lowest unionization numbers in the nation. But the secret is here. If we want to save the labor movement, we need to look at this room. We need to look at low-wage workers. We need to look at minority workers. We need to look at women. And we need to make sure that also these people of color are represented at the highest levels of unions, because that's another problem that we have in our beautiful labor movement, and we need to change that. But we are the future, and this issue of low workers are the future of the labor movement. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Hector. Next, we're going to hear from Agnes Maitland.
Been a home care worker 25 years. And it is a shame, I say all the time, I'm a delegate also. And I also goes to Albany every time you turn around, we need something in New York City, we got to go and beg the politician that we put in office. And that's a secret you have to learn. If you do not go behind those politicians and let them do what you want them to do because you put them in there, they will not work for you. That is the most important thing, because they would not. You have to put a fire in them at all times. They have to be seeing you. We have no friends in politics. We have acquaintances. Don't get it in your head that you have to be giving certain people money because you want them to do certain things for you. You don't need to give them money. You need to go and put a fire. Your members need to go and put a fire underneath them to do what you want them to do. You cannot even get a proper hour now because home care now is big business. Before, when the wage was very, very low, nobody in touch in home care. But now all the insurance company in home care. They're making their own home care insurance company. There is name out there you never hear about. And then they don't want to pay. The lawyer said at negotiation, oh, we're going to give them $9 an hour. $9 an hour to me? And he making $300 an hour to come and represent the agency? I said to him, you only putting a loaded gun to my head, but you just ain't pulling the trigger. We have to work real hard. Real hard, because it's not fair. 25 years and you're making $10. Because everything gone up in the supermarket. Rent gone up. Rice gone up. And our wages gone back. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Sherry Jones, who is an activist with a coalition of poultry workers out of Mississippi. So, Sherry?
If you eat chicken, raise your hand. Oh, okay. I'm in the right place then. I'm here because in Washington, a young lady, Miss Margaret Chapman, with 20 years in the poultry industry, said in January in our visit before the Congress, we was blessed to be able to go to the White House to speak about this issue. She said, I'm doomed. She said, but I would like for something to be done about the working conditions in poultry plants so the young people won't end up injured in the conditions that I'm in. She said, when you sit down and eat a piece of chicken again, I would like for you to think about what's in that chicken. And it's tears of poor women that's on these poultry industry line. We got young ladies that's got 1 and 2 degrees that's having to work in these industry. They can work, hang, kill the chicken, bag the bird, but they can't work in the office. Something wrong with that, people. But these people know when they go into these facilities and begin to do these jobs, because of the line speed, which is an issue that we've been fighting for the past year. The line speed, these people will be injured. It's just a matter of time. On the consumer side of it, if the line is running 140 birds a minute, now think about that, 140 birds per minute. Your government, Uncle Vilsack, up there at the U.S. and the DA, did a deal with the industry, and now they want to move it up to 175 a minute. Okay? Now, if they wasn't checking that chicken at 140, do you really want to eat one that came through at 175? But again, the next time you pick up that chicken on your plate, you think about whether you want that speed at 175 or if it really should be back down to 100. Because there's no way our women should be put on a line and not even given a bathroom break. Okay? So what we want is to raise all of the attention that we can around this issue. But the main thing, whether they are Latino or African American, we want our women to be treated with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Sherry, thank you so much for really giving us an in-depth look at the situation in the poultry plants in Mississippi. And we're going to have a lot of time for questions and answers. Next, we're going to hear from Nalani.
So yeah, I work at the Working Families Organization as their youth engagement director. And Working Families was born out of labor and community organizations getting together and saying in New York that we got to build a party. We have to build an independent structure so we can hold our politicians accountable based on the issues. Based on economic issues, based on making sure that we have free and fair elections, because that's something that we don't have. We're talking about all these corporations here that do all this work. They're paying off the politicians and cutting out our democracy. In 2011, my neighbors came up to me and were like, hey, Nell, that's my nickname. We're doing this thing where we're gonna just sit at Wall Street and we're not gonna leave. And we're gonna occupy it. And I thought they were crazy at first, but I went down on September 17th and didn't leave. But we went to the problem. Wall Street, the banks, the people who are making money, and bank workers too, they're low wage. Your tellers, right? Those are the people who are controlling our democracy, who are controlling what we're eating, when we're eating, who are controlling our day-to-day lives. And that was when I realized we didn't live in a democracy anymore, or at least one that we had full control of. But I got behind the message of the 99 to 1%. And as George said, simple arithmetic. Youth need to be in leadership as well, you know? It is the young people who were in leadership 50 years ago, and it's the young people that need to be in leadership today in partnership with our elders, because our elders are very important. So I thank you very much. Thank you, CBTU. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you so much. Our next two presenters are actually, they are not in unions. These are activists who are working directly for some of the top low-wage employers in the world. First, we're going to have Brandon. Brandon actually is part of the Our Walmart campaign. Brandon was fired by Walmart, and he'll talk about that. He was fired for his activism.
I'm here on behalf of the Our Walmart campaign. Our Walmart is an organization made of current and former Walmart workers. And we're not trying to bring Walmart down. We're actually trying to make Walmart better. We're trying to make it better for the associates, make it better for the customers, and make it better for everybody as a whole. Because Walmart is one of the biggest retail companies, but they treat their workers so wrong, you know? So that's one of our main goals is to keep pressure on them to make them change their ways. Because if one person stands up by themselves, they will not be heard. But if we all stand up as a whole, they have no choice but to hear us all. But just to tell you a little bit about my story, I was raised in a single-parent home. My mother raised me and my brother by herself. By watching her go through the struggles that she went through and seeing all the sacrifices that she made for me and my brother, gave me and my brother the idea to do what we need to do in school and do what we need to do to get ahead in life so we can take care of her and have her retire at an early age. I graduated from high school in 2004. I was good enough to actually get a scholarship to go to college and play college football and also college basketball. So while I was in school, my mother took sick, and she was unable to take care of herself, pay the bills, and do the regular stuff around the house. So I took it upon myself to leave school and go home and take care of her and make sure she was straight. Well, after being at home for a little while, I ended up getting a job at Walmart. When I first got the job, I was so excited because I know Walmart has, they broadcasted that they have so many opportunities and have so many different things where you can get ahead in life. But after being with the company for 2 years, I started noticing all that was false. So I started speaking up for myself, and I also started speaking up for my fellow associates, speaking up for the simple stuff that we needed around there. And when I did so, the management took it upon themselves to fire me for standing up. So with the organization, we filed a lawsuit with the National Labor Board, actually, and we won the case. But that's just a part of the fight. But the fight is going to continue until actually everybody's able to live, make a living wage at Walmart. Because Walmart makes too much money to treat their workers so poorly. So what we try to do is we try to educate the workers and make them aware of the rights that they do have as workers for Walmart. And we also try to tell them that they don't have to take most of the stuff that they give them, because if you know your rights, you ain't going to let nobody mistreat you. Appreciate it.
Brandon, thank you so much for sharing your story. Our last worker is Ms. Connie Ogletree. And Ms. Ogletree is actually from Atlanta, and she currently works at McDonald's. And Ms. Ogletree has quite a story to share with us tonight. So Ms. Ogletree?
When I graduated high school and I got one of my first jobs in the real world, this guy walked up to me and he said, "Do you want to join the union?" And I said, "Well, what does the union do?" And he began to tell me what all the union did, how it protected the workers' rights, how if you needed to have something done, they would get it done, that if you weren't being treated fairly, they would make sure that you were treated fairly. And he said, "Well, you know, it'll cost you $1 a day." Well, I was making about $6 at the time at Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This was back in 1976. So I was like, $1, that's nothing. I'll give y'all $1 a day for representation. And I want you to know that that $1 that I paid them guys every day, I saw it work so hard. I mean, I saw people lose jobs, get jobs back. I saw people being treated unfairly and got treated fairly simply because the union guy, I'll never forget this man, his name was Mr. Jackson. He would walk around with this little apron, and he had a little notepad, and he would just take notes. If you came up to him and said something, you know, or you had a complaint or what have you, you know, he got things done, in other words. The store manager that I work under makes just over $8. Some of the people in these other countries that are store managers make $21 an hour, and they work for the same corporation. They just work outside of the U.S., and I don't think that's fair in any way. I mean, if your company was built in this country, and the people that helped build you those billions and billions and probably trillions of dollars yearly, your CEOs are making all these figures, and here I am. I have to accept food stamps to make ends meet during the month right now. And that's sad because 40, 50 years ago, Martin Luther King and all the guys were marching for the same thing, a livable wage. And that should be a part of this country's American dream. If you're going to protest to be the greatest country in the world, why do your people have to have public assistance in order to make ends meet? Why do I have to decide if I'm going to pay all of the light bill, part of the gas bill? Do I need a ride to work? I'm just happy to say that no matter what it takes, I'm going to stay with the fight for 15 and the right to form a union. And I hope that we get the support that we need to make this a reality as soon as possible, because it's something that is really needed.
We have one final presenter, Dyana Forrester, who's a field organizer for Jobs with Justice.
I do want to say I'm also a low-wage worker. I'm a single mom with 2 kids. And I think as everyone reflected and talked about the work that we do, that women, black women, minority women, are the backbone of this economy. And I think that we have been caught in desperate times, you know, with the recession and the 6 years and declining, and we got caught up in this false sense that we're creating jobs, but the jobs that are being created are low-wage jobs. And what corporations have said is that times are hard, so we need to take it out on you. And what we see happening is people in motion. We see the Occupy movement sparking up, saying that something's wrong. And it's not because we made bad decisions, it's because there are actually 1% of people that are making a profit off of us. And from the Occupy movement, we see workers going out on strike. So we have this unique opportunity where these movements are happening, where workers are standing up. And it's time for labor, faith, and community to stand up and support them. What do we do when we're under attack? Stand up, fight back.
Let us all give our panelists one more final round of applause. I want to thank you all for allowing me to be the moderator. I learned so much from this group in the time that I met them a few hours ago and in their stories tonight. And so I'm so very proud to have been able to share in this experience in this moment with all of you. So thank you.